Hi guys, I'm Bri.
And I'm Alli. This is Offscript.
If you think about it, books are potential scripts for movies.
When this adaptation happens, typically it's disappointing because they went off script.
In this series, we will be talking about how off script they went.
Okie dokie.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Offscript.
Yeah, season 5, episode 3.
Just trucking along.
Yep, I'm Alli.
I'm Bri.
And today we're doing Looking for Alaska.
Woot woot. Had to fit in John Green one last time.
Woo, woo.
Actually, he has another one.
A couple, actually.
Yeah, but those are all not strictly John Green.
I know, it'll still be interesting to do.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, well, we got any picture painting?
We're recording this while I'm house sitting still.
Like we were for like 5 of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
We're marathoning tonight.
Yeah. We're trying to get ahead of ourselves.
Yep.
So far it's working.
Yeah.
It's summertime and I feel like today's like
it was so nice today.
It was so nice today, but I am spoiled now that we have air conditioning. So this apartment
does not. Oh yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. And I like walked in and I was like,
it was hot today.
Yeah.
And it's like gonna be hotter tomorrow.
It's gonna be hotter all weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that today because I walked in here. I was like, oh, it's beautiful. And like I'm wearing sweats and a t-shirt. And like I probably could have wore shorts and been perfectly fine. But even in sweats, I was fine. But I walked into here and I started sweating the second I got in here.
Yeah, it was hot today. I was out. My daughter's reader board at school has been not being used for the last several years, and it just looks like crap. And so I was like, you know what? I'm PTA and I'm going to use this next year. I already got permission from the principal and everything. So today I just scrubbed it, but I didn't have like a hose or anything. So I legit had to carry buckets from my house there. And then I had to take my kids' squirt guns and squirt gun it down to rinse it off. Man, it was an adventure, but I did that in the 80-degree weather. It was hot. It was hot. But yeah, but I mean, I'm enjoying the sunshine.
I sat inside and watched All Be Gone in the Dark. I should have been outside enjoying the sun. I think I'm going to try to do something tomorrow.
Legit sat outside typing these notes today because it was smart. So nice.
I should sit on their balcony and read tomorrow.
Yes, you should.
Mm-hmm. Something.
All right, you guys. Well, we got some trigger warnings for you in this one. So
for sure.
There's a young death.
Mm-hmm.
And there's talks of suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Should we keep going?
Yeah, let's do
synopsis. I'm far away today.
Guy's Alley went from 160 to 230.
Look at, hey, I'm sitting far away from the screen and it's in a dinky little computer, not your big, huge TV. Put it up on this TV. We got to bring a HDMI cord and then we'd be set. We could have it like size like 30 on that TV.
Probably still 130.
So, in Looking for Alaska, it tells the story of Miles Pudge Halter, who's a high school junior who divides his life into time before and time after a life-changing event.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we have author John Green.
Woot woot.
The creator of the show is Josh Schwartz.
That name sounds really familiar.
All I know is Schwartz from Christmas Story.
Oh. I think there's an actor with that name.
Probably. I mean, I don't think it's a very uncommon name.
That's very true. It's probably not.
So the reason we did creator is because with TV shows, you guys,
there's typically a different director for every
episode or so. So yes, there are 8 directors and there are 7 screenplay writers for this 8-episode miniseries. Mm-hmm. So if you would like to see who they are, go check out IMDb.
Yeah. When we do TV shows, if we really like an episode or really dislike an episode, we'll tend to talk to you a little bit more about those people.
Yes.
It's just that we didn't come up with this plan until after we watched
Literally
already.
this
day.
Yes.
We decided.
Yep.
And then we were both like,
Because we've already done 2 other shows.
yeah.
3, including this one. And how many are we doing this season?
5.
5. So 3 of the
I can't remember what the 5 are, but yeah.
3 of the Good Omens. I'll Be Gone in the Dark, Looking for Alaska,
Magicians
The Outsiders.
and The Outsider.
Yep, Magicians.
But I also don't think I'll Be Gone in the Dark has different, typically with documentaries.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. So that one will be fine.
But still, I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
All right, and then
We're
audio.
new to TV shows.
Yes, we are, for sure. Audiobook reader is Will Wheaton.
That's hilarious.
He did good. Why is that hilarious?
He's a, well, okay, obviously I don't think it's the same he, but Will Wheaton is like,
Famous?
ooh, I was going to say he's the creator of Buffy. I don't think he was the creator director. He's huge and massive in Hollywood for being like a director. He's like, it's the Wheaton verse or whatever.
Is he the same one?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Does he spell Will with one L? Because this one does.
I don't know.
Okay.
I would have to look it up.
All right. So we have the book came out March 3rd, 2005, and the show came out October 18th, 2019. It's 14 years.
Oh, what's funny is it's not the Will Wheaton I was thinking of, but there is a Will Wheaton who spells his name with one L, and he's in Stand By Me. Yeah.
I wonder if it's the same one.
I know. He was probably he's also in The Secret of Nim. Yeah.
I just love that movie.
Mm-hmm. It's one that's getting scheduled in season 6.
It sure is.
That's funny. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
You asked me a question?
I didn't, but which did you do first?
Did you already do the difference?
I sure did.
Oh, good. I was looking up Will Wheaton. Sorry.
That's okay.
I read this book first forever ago when I was in college, and it impacted my life.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I watched the movie / show first. I watched the show first. Mm-hmm. And what are your thoughts on the story?
I thought, so when I first read this in college, it felt like a very impactful book because that was kind of when my depression was like starting to really make me realize that it was there. Like I've always had it, but I just kind of like, pushed it off to the side and ignored it. Mm-hmm. And in college, it was kind of starting to get harder and harder to ignore. Mm-hmm. And while this book doesn't directly deal with depression, it's definitely a theme of the book. Mm-hmm. And so that felt like big and heavy for me. And then it was the first book I've read that's dealt with grief in such a way that this book did.
It was an interesting way to deal with grief, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it was I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Mm-hmm. And why did we pick it?
So this is one of my favorite John Green books. Mm-hmm. And I've been trying to schedule it for forever, but I was scared to do a TV show. And then I was finally ready for us to do a TV show, but then John Green announced that Turtles All the Way Down was coming out. I was like, Allie, we should do that instead of this one. But I didn't want to just kick Looking for Alaska completely off of our docket. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put it into my birthday month, not realizing I was putting it right after 2 other TV shows.
Right. Whoops.
Yeah.
That's okay. Okay, cool. So now we have some Allie's super fun facts. Woo. So Green revisited Indian Springs, which was the boarding school he went to. And he says that Looking for Alaska was about a guy from Florida who is obsessed with dying words of famous people and leaves home to go to boarding school in Alabama. And I myself was once a guy from Florida who was obsessed with dying words of famous people and left my home to go to Florida, or from Florida to go to school in Alabama. So looking for Alaska is really a fictional thing, but the setting really isn't.
Aww.
Yeah, I thought it was so cute.
That's cute.
Number 2, this was John Green's first novel, but his 5th adaptation.
That's crazy. That's even crazier that this was his first novel.
That's crazy.
Actually.
Yeah. Did you not know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy. All right. Scott Newstad.
Newstad.
No, my eyes are working. Newstadtert. Okay, Scott Newstadtert and Michael Weber were screenplay writers for The Fault in Our Stars and Paper Towns. Were originally supposed to write the screenplay for this.
Oh.
Yep.
Damn.
I wonder how different it would have been.
It probably would have been really different. What?
Hey, don't read ahead.
I already spoiled it.
You spoiled it. I was so excited about this one. She goes and ruins it. Lily Rose Depp auditioned for Alaska. I was like, that. Wait a second. And I like clicked her little, because IMDb links it. And I was like, what?
Oh, I'm heartbroken.
I know. I thought that was hilarious. And I was like,
wow.
Good Omens. Johnny Depp was supposed to be in it. This one, his daughter's supposed to be in it.
I unintentionally picked a bunch of Johnny Depp movies.
We're going back to our first season, going back to our roots, talking about Johnny Depp every episode.
Gladly.
That's so funny. And number 5, John Green said he would like to cast Taylor Swift in the film, but the casting is not up to him.
Who did he want her as?
I don't know.
Because she would not have been a good Alaska.
No, I have no idea who she should have been.
Laura? But she can't do a Russian accent.
I don't know who she would have been.
Come on, John Green. You gotta give us those deets.
Maybe he just wanted her as a cameo. Maybe she was the friend that got kicked out.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So there's a going away party being thrown for Miles by his parents. And they're like, invite everybody. And he has like no friends because he's going to a boarding school. So that's why the going away party is happening. And he's very excited because that's where his dad used to go.
The show starts off with basically the big punchline of the whole book.
Yes.
It's like, boom, car crash. We don't know who was in the car crash, although if you use deductive reasoning, you probably can figure it out. But basically after that, you follow Alaska, which was weird. I was like, why are we following Alaska too? Alaska shouldn't be a character that actually gets followed because it should just be Miles because the whole book's told from Miles's perspective. So, and then also in this first scene with Alaska, that when we're following her, because she's on her way to the boarding school where she will meet Miles, we see things that she's supposed to actually be doing with Miles way later on in the book. Like going and getting alcohol at a store with a fake ID. We never see her do that with Miles, but we see her do it by herself at the very start of the show. And then we get to what Allie just said. And the show made it seem like Miles did not have a great relationship with his parents. And like, he didn't have the best relationship with his parents in the book, but it wasn't horrible.
I would say he had a typical high schooler relationship.
Yeah, no. The show made it seem like he hated his parents and could not stand his parents.
Yeah, like he was excited to get out of there.
Whereas in the book, he was very much like, I'm excited because of my great perhaps, but is this the right thing for me? I don't know.
Okay. So then we go to Miles and he's going to school and he's getting out of the shower when his roommate Chip or the Colonel comes in and he gives him the nickname Pudge because he's so skinny. So it's ironic. And they go and find this girl named Alaska Young. So we find out that these guys, this is like the group of kids that got in on scholarships. Well, I don't think Miles did.
No, Miles didn't, but he's
there the whole time.
He lives far enough away that it doesn't make sense for him to go home on the weekends.
But there's these other kids called the Weekday Warriors who are super rich and they get to go home every weekend. And so they go to Alaska's room and she's all by herself because apparently her roommate got expelled last year because she was fooling around and drinking and smoking and all these naughty things that will get you expelled. And Miles just thinks she's the prettiest girl he's ever seen. And they buy cigarettes from her and they go all smoke together. Or maybe it's just Miles and the Colonel that smoke together. Or is Alaska
it's just Miles and the Colonel because Alaska said she was going to meet him up or meet up with them. And then she didn't right away. And Miles was like, what? She said she was coming.
Where is she? Yes.
Because he's from those kind of kids where when you say they're going to be there, he's assuming they're going to be there.
Right.
Whereas she's like, I'll get there when I get there.
Yep. And so we learn about the Eagle, who's basically like the principal dean guy is how I took it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a super hard punk teacher. And then there's a swan that's super mean to anyone, so you can't go near the lake. And then they find out that the number one rule is there's no rats. So even the Weekday Warriors, you don't tell when they do something they're not supposed to do because that's the code at school. And so after Colonel and Miles smoke, Miles goes back and chats with Alaska. And she has this amazing library. She calls her life's library that she plans to read when she's old and retired and not young enough to do fun things anymore. And we also find out Alaska has a boyfriend and she loves him so much.
One thing that I did not like from the TV show, when the Colonel is giving Pudge his nickname, he tells him, like right there, he's like, I'm going to call you Pudge because it's ironic. Whereas Miles is the one who puts it together in the book. He's like, oh, I'm skinny. And so he's calling me Pudge because it's ironic. And then, oh, no. Miles tells the bullies in the book when he's getting taken that night.
Yep.
They're like, why do they call you Pudge? And he's like, because it's ironic.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Whereas in the show, Colonel is like, I'm going to call you Pudge because that's ironic. Did not like that. And then
like that's so funny because this is not
this is one that I don't need to get nitpicky.
Yes, that's what I was about to say because there's so much different and you're over here.
First episode, right when I got to that bit after everything that had happened up to this point, I was like, this is gonna be shit. I was like, no way, they can't redeem themselves. This is horrible. So then the other thing that happens that I think is just so ridiculous and so stupid in the show, they make the Weekday Warriors such the main villain of the story so that there's always drama and always conflict throughout the whole show between them. And yeah, there's a rivalry there in the book, but it's not something that like every day something happens.
Right.
Like in the show, something happens every freaking day. And then the rat thing is big in the book, but not to the point that it is in the show. Like to the point it gets excessive in the show.
It's like the main storyline for a long time.
Literally the only storyline. When it's like, I'll get to it when we get there. I hope I remember to. Because something got real screwed up with the story in later on with this stupid rat thing that I was like, what? This is so dumb. And then when they meet Alaska is telling them the story about this kid who randomly put his hand on her boob and honked her. And in the book, she's telling it and she only tells it, but in the show she grabs Miles's hand and puts it on her chest to like make a point. I'm like, why is that what's happening right now? And then a very, 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 very large difference that happens is Alaska's roommate gets kicked out this year. So we start the show off with Alaska's roommate there. And then she gets kicked out in this first episode. And I thought it was hilarious because the whole time I was like, who the hell is this girl? Like, I don't know who the hell this girl is. And then when it got to her getting kicked out, I was like, what? What? You're not even supposed to be here.
I kind of liked seeing it happen, though.
I feel like they could have shown it in flashback. It didn't have to be something that happened while Miles was there.
Yeah. Yeah, the flashback could have worked. But I mean,
because this is why the whole rat thing becomes such a huge thing in the show.
Because it happens now.
Yeah. Stupid. All right. And that's all my notes on this first part.
So, rumors are being spread about who ratted on Alaska's old roommate to get her expelled. And slightly after Miles fell asleep, he was kidnapped out of bed. And Colonel's like, good luck. And he's like, rolls over in his sleep. And Miles is like, what the heck? And he's like duct taped and tied up. And he's like thrown into the lake. And after nearly drowning, he gets out and he goes to Alaska's room. And she's kind of like poking fun, not being super nice. And then he goes home. And the Colonel's shocked when he shares what happened. He's like, they're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to just throw you in. And he's like, okay, the prank war has begun. I mean, it's already been going, but it's like hardcore now.
Yeah, but they do pranks on each other every once in a while, but it's not like, now he's like, oh, this is some bullshit. Like, how dare you try to take someone's life? That's horrible.
Right.
So the rumors thing does start happening, but then pretty quick into it, Alaska just flat out tells everyone that they piece it together, and I can't even remember because no one's supposed to find out about this yet. This is not something that comes out until,
I think that didn't come out in the first episode or two, though. I feel like it waited at least till episode 3. Was she just super defensive?
Yeah, she was right off the bat. Whereas Book Alaska was cool about it. And was like,
there was a defensive part, but movie or show Alaska was very much like, guys, let's just stop it. Let's just drop it.
Oh yeah, in the show they also take Pudge when the Colonel is out on a date with his girlfriend. His date with his girlfriend in the book, he's ironing a shirt because he's got to look good for the opera with his girlfriend's parents. And in the show, this happens now. And first off, he's not trying to iron his shirt. He just throws it on and she comes in and is like, why didn't you iron the shirt?
Well, he was trying to iron it, but like it had no heat. So like it wasn't plugged in or it was broken or something.
Dummy.
Well, they say he's like, I think Miles is like, did you plug it in? And he's like, of course I plugged it. I'm not an idiot. And then, so I think it was just broken because like they're like, it's not even warm. But so he did try to iron this part. You're fuming. You were probably writing down some other notes.
Oh, I was upset about all of it. I was like, this is ridiculous. Or I was taking a video.
Or that.
So then he goes on this date with his girlfriend, which is also stupid because he's not supposed to go on this date with her.
Right.
But he does. And this is when Pudge gets taken. And so my note is the Colonel is supposed to be there when the kids take Pudge because it's a typical hazing thing. Not this thing that they do in the middle of the night. Like, oh, good, he's alone. We can take him now. Stupid. Also, they saran wrapped him, not duct tape him. Like, I feel like that's almost worse.
That's way worse.
Like, duct tape's at least like...
You have your arms and legs you can move.
Yeah.
No, you're dead.
Saran wrap is like, cool, I'm a mermaid.
You're dead.
Yeah. And then the swan comes and attacks Miles in the show right here. I was like, this is what? That's not until later. I was like, why is he getting attacked twice in the show if he gets attacked later? Oh, also, after he gets out of the lake and gets attacked by the swan, when he goes to Alaska, like in the book, of course, it's because we get the inner monologue bits, but he's like, I need Alaska, like, I need someone who's going to comfort me. I see her light on. I'm going to go there. Whereas the show, it did not seem like that. It seemed like he just went to her place.
Just because he liked Alaska. Yeah, that's what I felt.
I was like, Weird choice, but okay.
Go to you in my underwear, soaking wet.
Yeah, exactly. And then in the show, when Pudge comes and tells him what happened, the Colonel did not react how he was supposed to react. Like in the book, he like wakes up, gets out of bed, is upset. Like they're not supposed to do that. Whereas in the show, he was just like laying in the bed like, yeah, all right, we'll deal with it later. Okay. And then it's after they pee in his shoes when he gets all upset.
Right.
All right.
Okay. So Miles is pointing out everybody who threw him in the lake to the Colonel the next day. And Miles is still mad at Alaska, but the Colonel's like, hey, she didn't know what was going on. She feels really bad. And so he's in his religion class, and Dr. Hyde is the teacher, and he actually likes this class, but Dr. Hyde's like super like old. He only has one lung right now, and he's just not doing great health-wise. And after school, he's doing homework with Alaska he's doing homework, and Alaska comes and apologizes.
So one thing that starts happening in the show is because the Colonel is broke and he needs his money for his cigarettes or to go on dates with his girlfriend. And so they have him writing other people's papers.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm like what?
Side
Why?
scheme going on.
Yes. Which also, like, if you think about it, the people he's probably writing papers for are these weekday warriors. Would he really be doing that? Especially in this show where he, like, hates them
right
so much.
He needs money more, I guess.
Apparently. The other thing that I forgot to mention, because I was mad about everything else, is that he is dating a weekend warrior. Mm-hmm. But he like makes a loophole for her, basically.
Yeah. That happened in the book too, though, right? Or was
yeah, I was just saying that for a note that I'm about to say, because it would be confusing if I didn't preface it with that. So then, because now, after everything, Miles is pointing out who threw him in the lake. He's very mad at Alaska. And then Sarah comes up to the group with the weekday warriors and tries to make them apologize to Pudge. Mm-hmm. Or she doesn't try to make them. She makes them apologize. But then this is when, like, the Colonel gets all upset and is like, it's on. And then he tells the weekday warriors that there's going to be a war. I'm like,
he lost his advantage.
Stupid. Why? And then the class does happen, but one thing I don't like is in his religion class, he just keeps daydreaming about Alaska. Like the show romanticizes his relationship with Alaska so much. Mm-hmm. Like in the book, yes, he was into her, but he knew she had a boyfriend, knew she loved him, and wasn't sitting there like trying to figure out ways to break him up.
Right.
Or sitting there thinking like, oh, I love her so much. One day she'll break up with her boyfriend and be with me. Like the show did.
Okay. So the Colonel is sweating over an ironing board, as we were talking about earlier, because Sarah, his girlfriend, is taking him to the opera, and Sarah comes in and they have this huge fight, and he ends up staying home and drinking vodka in milk because that sounds appealing. He did it to hide it. There you go. Because the eagle can't smell it then. Mm-hmm. Would not be worth it. I'm so sorry.
I don't think so, but teenagers who just want to drink, they might think it is.
I guess so.
As two people who could go and drink right now.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe that's what it is. So he admits he's a bad boyfriend, but she's a bad girlfriend, so they're made for each other. And then the payphone rings because there's only one phone in all of campus because they're not allowed to have cell phones, right? Mm-hmm. And it's Sarah calling to yell at the Colonel some more. And she let him know that the weekday warriors think that it was him who ratted out, what's her name? The girl that got expelled.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. Oh, because what freaking happens is when they go to the basketball, that's how it happens. They go to the stupid basketball game and her roommate who got kicked out comes up to her and is like, you're the one who ratted.
Yeah, but they never think it was the Colonel in the show, did they?
No.
Yeah.
No, because they just had to make you dislike Alaska.
Yeah. It worked. I didn't like her at all.
Some stupid reason. I don't get why they wanted to.
I know. I don't get it because I didn't like her at all in the show.
No. And I like her in the book.
She's not bad in the book. I mean, she's not my favorite.
She's not a great character, but I just think she's a very confused teenager.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know her place in the world and is trying to find it and has 1,000,001 things going on like we all do. And just doesn't know how to control it.
Mm-hmm. So this morning in religion class, when Miles is daydreaming out the window, he got kicked out of class because he's not paying attention. And so Alaska stood up and made the scene, so she got kicked out as well. And they're chatting and waiting for the Colonel and Takumi, who's their other friend. And they all go to their smoking spot. And Alaska said they should just drop it about the rat thing because they keep talking about it. But she's like, it doesn't really matter. Just drop it. Who cares? And Miles asked Alaska why she smokes so fast. And she's like, you smoke to enjoy and I smoke to die.
Yeah, that pretty much happens. It doesn't happen here, but...
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, well, also, she never tells them to drop it because it gets outed pretty quickly that she's the rat.
Mm-hmm.
So that bit doesn't happen. It's kind of more so them just going to their smoking spot.
Yep. So the Colonel was super excited because it was their first basketball game. Miles hates any sports, but he went with the Colonel, and the Colonel is super obnoxious and gets kicked out. And it turns out he's been kicked out of 36 games in a row. I'm not going to lie. I really expected this storyline little bit to be an add-on in the show. And so when I read it, I was like, yay! It was like my favorite part of the show. So I was so excited.
What's funny is I felt like he wasn't obnoxious enough in the games. Like, I almost made a note because I was like, he is not being disruptive.
I thought he was doing pretty good.
Not good enough.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez Louise. Okay, I'm gonna go because there's a whole episode that happens that doesn't even get mentioned yet.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so in the show, freaking Sarah is a debutante, and the Colonel finds out that he can't be her escort because that's frowned upon. He's not in the same class as her, and so she cannot have him as her escort. So then he's like, okay, I'll just go. But then the whole rest of the group decides to go too so that they can pull this huge prank on the freaking Weekday Warriors and make them all have to poop themselves. I'm like, that whole episode I was watching it and I was like,
what is happening?
Why am I even watching this? Like, this doesn't happen in the book at all. Like, what?
I really did it. I didn't even click.
No, there is literally a whole episode that didn't even have to be an episode. Like, what? Also, like, right before this, the Colonel and them went and pranked the Weekday Warriors and they, like, cemented their doors shut, which is something that they did not do in the book. They only dyed their hair blue.
Yeah.
That was it. So some of the pranks were just over the top for me. I was like, what the hell?
I feel like the show did it really good if it was 4 episodes.
Oh, it would have been fine as 4. It should have been a for real limited series.
The last 2 episodes were the last half of the book. And while there were differences, it followed it a lot better than the first half of the shows.
Yeah.
So,
no, the first 4 episodes are literally just filled with shit that don't happen.
just because.
Yeah, just to have fun. I'm like, what?
I wish I had read it first.
Mm-hmm. It's a good book.
It is. And I just feel like it wasn't one of my favorite John Green books. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if it's because the show ruined it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I went in, like, the show, I just went into reading the book like, okay.
Yeah.
Versus like,
yay, John
Green.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder if I had read it first.
You might have. Sorry.
Not to give away
which
one I prefer.
Well, then, after the debutante ball, then the freaking Weekday Warriors come and are like, we want a prank truce. So stupid.
So Alaska brought 6 students to McDonald's to study for pre-calc, and one of them was Laura. And Miles and her kind of flirted because there's this thing going on. Alaska and Miles made an agreement where Alaska's going to find Miles a girlfriend, and I don't remember what Miles is going to do.
Oh, Miles is gonna... Miles's thing is he loves the last words of people. And so she had this book where one of the last words of a person was, I'm going to get it wrong, but basically something about how do you escape this labyrinth or something like that. And she wanted to know what the labyrinth was.
Mm-hmm. So he's going to help her
figure out essentially what the labyrinth is.
Okay. And she's going to get him a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. So this is her matchmaking moment.
Hers is way easier than his.
I know, right? So we have background on Alaska and that she chose her name at the age of 7 because her parents are like, we don't know what to name her. And so they're like, we'll let her choose. And that's interesting.
They couldn't agree on the name. They wanted to name her like 2 different things.
This is when you find more names.
Yeah, right.
Like
exactly.
Cameron and I couldn't agree on a name and we found more names. So odd. I couldn't imagine being like, oh. Okay.
Plus, who would let her choose at the age of 7?
I know. Like what would Riley would choose like Taylor Swift right now?
Yeah. Right. My favorite thing is dolphins.
Yes.
So I'm going to be Dolphin.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so they're out smoking. The eagle caught them and they're all sentenced to jury the next day, which is like they're deciding how they get punishment and stuff.
Yep, that happens. That actually happens before the debutante thing.
Mm-hmm. So they'd all did jury, and Alaska and Chip came up with a story that they were out smoking, but Takumi and Miles were just watching, and Miles didn't understand why, since he was the least likely to get in trouble. But Alaska and Chip got 10 hours of work in the kitchens, and Takumi and Miles got off.
Yes, that happens. There's a part of me that feels like Takumi wasn't involved in this in the show, though. But I can't remember.
I don't remember either. It's a lot harder to remember things in 8 hours versus 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when they screw up so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like if it was spot on, it would be a whole
lot
different.
Easier.
Just wait for the magicians.
All right, back to the show, the book, whatever this is. Alaska let Miles know that she's going to make Laura his girlfriend. And they went on a triple date with Alaska, Jake, the Colonel, Sarah, and Laura, and Miles. And they went to a basketball game before dinner, and Alaska told Miles not to sit next to Laura. She's like, I am a girl. I know these things. I thought that was the dumbest advice.
I thought that was so stupid. I was like, what are you doing?
Yes. So the Colonel is trying to get kicked out of the game again. And he gets this other team player heated. And so this player threw the ball at him, but it missed and it hit Miles. And Miles got a concussion. He threw up all over Laura. And Takumi and Laura took him to the hospital. And come to find out, or he comes home and finds out that him and the Colonel and Sarah broke up.
Yeah, it takes a long time in the show for the Colonel and Sarah to actually break up. A lot longer than it did in the book, at least. I was like, they're not broken up yet. They're not. Why are they not broken up yet? What is going on? But also at this point in the show, we find out that the eagle has a whole entire love story. Like he's going through a divorce and his wife is leaving him and he's dealing with that. And then he falls in love with a teacher. And the whole time I was just sitting there like, well, why? Why is this happening? Why is this a story that I need right now?
Teachers have lives too, Bri.
I know that. My mother is one, but I was not happy about that. Oh, yeah. Oh, this was actually a huge difference. So the reason that the Colonel and Sarah broke up is because in the book... Oh, wait. Nope. In the show, the Colonel and Sarah break up because Alaska, being the rat, like, comes out. And Sarah comes up to him and is like, how can you be friends with her? And he's like, nah, she can't be the rat. And then they break up. And then he gets upset once he realizes that she is, in fact, the rat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and another thing that you didn't make mention of is how Pudge gets concussed here.
I literally says it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Miles got a concussion.
Oh, my bad.
Bri over here not listening to me. Whatever.
I was reading my notes trying to figure out what all I needed to say. So then he does get concussed in the show too. But then Laura takes him to the hospital and like immediately. Like
without Takumi.
Yeah, it's like a date basically. It's like, oh cool, your thing worked, Alaska. They're on a date now and they like each other.
Yes.
And then a whole conversation that happens in the book later with Laura happens now in the show. And all I could think was, how is he doing this when he's concussed? Like, I know when you're concussed, you can do that, but you would think he would be a little bit more freaked out at the fact that he's now in the hospital after just being at a basketball game. Instead, no. Let's have this deep, meaningful conversation, Laura. Oh, I'm so glad my next note is explaining what the conversation is. The conversation is how Laura came to be in America because she's Russian. And so it's her whole story about how her family immigrated. And that happens way later during a prank. Way, way later in the book.
I think she's Romanian. Because Miles keeps calling her Russian.
Oh.
I think she is.
I thought she was Russian.
I think because everyone calls her Russian.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm actually Romanian.
Also, freaking Mr. Hyde is everywhere in the damn TV show. I hate this so much. Also, Mr. Hyde, it explains when they first introduce Mr. Hyde that he's supposed to be this dude who can barely get around anywhere because he's got one lung and he's barely breathing and like he's on his last leg. This dude was the skinniest dude ever who looked like he was in the best shape of his life, was not having a hard time getting around anywhere because he was everywhere in the show. Oh, also, I guess I'll put this here because this doesn't happen in the book. After this whole basketball thing, she's upset. So she asked Jake to go to his campus, his college campus. And so they go there and she goes to a party there and then she freaks out and basically like one of Jake's friends is there and it's a girl and she's talking to her and she's like, why aren't you with him? You should be with him. You're a better fit than me.
Like Alaska says that to her.
Yeah. And then when Miles and Laura are on their way home from the hospital, they see Alaska because Alaska has now, after she has her freak out at the college campus, she comes back and gets dropped off at the gas station. And Miles, after this very sweet like situation with Laura, is like, wait, stop the car. It's Alaska.
Yeah, it was very much Laura felt like the third wheel all show.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas she didn't at all in the book.
No. There were a few times where she was a little bit intimidated by their relationship, but it wasn't
right
like the show at all.
No. So Alaska and Miles chat, but she won't answer any questions. Like he's just trying to get to know you or like, how are you questions. She's like, no, I'm not answering anything. Later that day, they leave Dr. Hyde's class and they got their final exam, which was to come up with the important question that all religions try to answer. Alaska comes running up screaming, pissed because the weekday warriors flooded her room. And Alaska, turns out, was the snitch. That's why they did it. Takumi doesn't really understand why she was the snitch, but he's like, whatever.
This is also now where Jake and Alaska break up.
Yep.
And, oh wait, no, I will let you say the next part and then
Okay.
I'll say it.
So Alaska convinced Miles to stay for Thanksgiving and he calls and tells his parents. And later the colonel's like, you seriously stayed for a girl who has a boyfriend? And he's like, yeah, that was pretty dumb. So he tries to call his parents to go back home, but they already booked tickets to go to England or London or wherever they were going.
Ireland?
England and London are the same place. But yeah, I have no idea where they're going, but
They were going somewhere.
somewhere in Europe.
It's like, damn.
Maybe they just said Europe.
Oh, maybe that. I thought it was Ireland.
Then that probably is what it is.
Well, in the show, Miles is not about to stay with her. He's like, nah, I'm good. But then he finds out that she broke up with Jake. And he's like, oh, just kidding. I'm going to stay. JK, I have a chance at this. And then on freaking Thanksgiving break, who do they hang out with? Dr. Hyde.
Yes. I thought those were sweet scenes.
And then Dr. Hyde tells them his love story.
Yeah, and his true love died.
It was sweet, but it did not happen in the book.
I know. It was really cute. I was okay with that add-on. Because it's like his boyfriend died or fiance? What was he? When he was young, when he was younger, and he's just never loved again, and just so sweet. But yes, it did not happen at all. I was expecting Mr. Hyde to be a lot more involved in the book than he was.
After watching it, I was like, she's going to be disappointed about Mr. Hyde. She's going to be disappointed about the Colonel's mom. She's going to be disappointed about the eagle.
And I like the eagle. Okay. Well, I guess I like the eagle in the show, not the... Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I liked all the show.
Yeah. You liked all the show add-ons. Yeah. Yeah.
All the adults were good.
Not in the book.
Oh, no. Miles and Alaska are drinking, and he keeps wanting to tell her that he loves her, but he doesn't because she's, with Jake and all this sort of stuff. So the next day, Alaska wakes Miles up, and they go do a prank on the Weekday Warriors by something involving their hair.
Which has already happened in the show.
Yes. Actually, this doesn't quite happen yet. They decided. They're like, they love their hair, so we're going to do something. They didn't do it yet. And then they just raid all the dorms to find alcohol and porn.
Yep. Okay. Well, the other thing I'll say here is freaking Miles and Alaska keep just having very deep conversations. And randomly, okay, spoiler alert, everyone. Alaska dies in the book. And the first time you read it, at least I don't know for you since you saw the show first, but I remember when I first read it, I kept going back and forth between, oh, it was suicide. Oh, it wasn't suicide. Oh, it was suicide. Oh, it wasn't. And it was very much this like, what is it? Like, I need to know that answer. And of course, you don't ever fully get it because how do you?
Right, exactly.
That was a thing for me. And I think that's a thing for a lot of people who read it before they watch the show. And I mean, I guess, did you still, even when you read it?
Yeah, I mean, the show didn't really super answer that question either.
Yeah.
No. So,
no. It's still there. And freaking the show also, though, plays into basically like, there's a few times before she dies where you think, oh, she's about to commit suicide right here. Or like during Thanksgiving, Miles and Alaska are having a deep conversation, and Miles all of a sudden is like, are you suffering? I'm like, what the fuck? Why is this question you randomly ask this girl? Like, this is a girl you're into and you're trying to make your move now that she's broken up with her boyfriend. And your first question is, are you suffering?
He's concerned. But I mean, he could have probably worded that a little
way better, right? So then after this, like Alaska tells him that he doesn't want to know her. She's too dark. No one wants to know everything about her. He's like, I want to know. I'm all in. I was like, dude.
I gotta give you the classic rom-com. Not rom-com.
Shit.
Just romantic movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I was mad. I was like, dude, you're not even supposed to. She's supposed to be with a boyfriend right now.
The thing with Alaska is she doesn't get deep and personal.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't. She's very much surface level. She'll get deep with you.
And that's what pissed Miles off.
Because he wanted someone who would get deep.
And in the show, she does.
The other thing that happens too is she now makes she makes Miles sleep outside with her. And they wake up holding hands. And the Colonel is there and he's pissed that they're holding hands.
Yep. So they were invited to the Colonel's, and mom created a delicious Thanksgiving dinner, and he lives in this trailer park, and Alaska and Miles were going to sleep in the same bed together, and Alaska's joking around with Miles, and then 3 hours later she comes in sobbing, saying how the Colonel doesn't trust her and how she doesn't have any family.
So in the show, the Colonel is not happy to be inviting them to Thanksgiving, whereas in the book it definitely seemed like he was the one, like, I knew you guys were here alone. You should come be with us. Like, I told my mom. She was like, we got to go get them. I'm here to get you guys. But show Colonel was like, this is BS. I only want it to be me and Mom. I don't want you guys here.
I hate you.
Yeah. And then there's so much added shit with this.
It's so much.
There's like, they all dance together. There's a whole, his mom does live in a trailer park, but she's working like 3 jobs, including running a store out of her trailer. And that was all the Colonel's idea because he's so smart. And then Dolores and Alaska, Dolores is the Colonel's mom. Dolores and Alaska are outside in the store and after dinner, and she's like, ooh, that Miles kid, he really likes you. And then you see she goes and talks to the Colonel, and he gets so mad at her. I was like, my note is literally, the Colonel gets so underscore or underlined mad that Alaska's the rat. And then after this, the Colonel tells Alaska to never talk to him or Pudge ever again.
Yeah, he basically was like you're gonna ruin Pudge's life by him being associated with you because you're the rat. And then she was like, oh, I don't want that to happen. So, you know, instead of telling Pudge this,
she runs into the room crying,
and then she's like, he goes to kiss her. And then she's like, what the hell are you doing? And shoves him. So then he feels horrible. He's like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Like, yeah, I hate when shows do that. I'm like, why can't people just talk?
You should just tell him. Yeah, exactly. I know. But also, he's not even supposed to make a move on her.
No, he is not.
So that is one of my notes. And then, oh, well, your next thing is about Christmas. So I'm going to keep going. Because then when the Colonel's mom is driving him, he makes her stop the car pretty far away from the school and is like, Alaska, get out. You're walking back. And then his mom is mad and makes them all walk because she's like, I'm not driving you.
Right. Like, I was so proud of her.
What?
Good job, Mama.
And then there's this whole backstory with the Colonel having an abusive dad, too, which was not a thing. It's just that he did not have a dad.
Right. His dad just up and left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not an abusive thing. And then in the show, the Colonel has a very, very, very bad smoking addiction to the point where because he's not talking to Alaska, that's all he wants. And he's like, can't think of anything else, can't do anything else, is like trying to find other ways to get cigarettes. And in the show, they also all ignore Alaska because now they all dislike her. And like Miles is mad because of what happened with her when he went to kiss her. And especially after she had been sending signs that she liked him too. Right. My next note, I was so mad because the Colonel has his smoking addiction. He goes to the convenience store to try and buy stuff with a fake ID, but that's actually not supposed to happen until Alaska is dead, because at no point in the book do they not talk to her. She's always their connection to the cigarettes.
Right.
And so that's supposed to just be a after she's passed thing. And now in the show too, the weekday warriors are going after Alaska as well. Sarah has moved on from the Colonel and she's dating the main bad guy from the weekday warriors.
Yep. Okay. So all went home for Christmas. Miles was happy. He's like, hey, family. And then Alaska. Well, you got some stuff on that?
Well, I guess should we talk about the stupid winter dance that happens?
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Because that
happens right there.
Happen, yeah.
That's your
only note there.
That is all that happened in Christmas was they went home and Miles was like, thank goodness I have family.
I know. My freaking note here is winter dance ... Because now basically Miles goes to get with Laura, but Laura is also now like a part of the Weekday Warriors.
I think she was already, though.
Was she?
Yeah.
I didn't think she was in the book.
Oh, maybe she wasn't in the book, but at the beginning of the show,
She was.
she was in the. So she's
She's
just
with
her
her
crowd now.
people now, not hanging out with them.
Yeah.
And so Miles is upset. So actually before the dance, he's upset about everything that happened with Alaska. And he's like, we had a thing. We were clicking. That night I got concussed. This was good. I'm going to get her to go to the dance with me. And at first she's like, no.
Because
I don't
they
want to go.
ditched her again.
Yeah.
There
For
was
Alaska.
Yeah, there was another point in the show when he was supposed to hang out with Laura or something, and then he ditched her again to go hang out with Alaska.
yeah.
So she's like, whatever, I'm done with you.
Yeah. Like, you keep doing this to me. I'm not going to do this. But then he like does the whole, I'm buying 2 tickets. And she's like, no, you're not. I'm buying my ticket. And he's like, okay, well, I'll buy mine. And then he has to get and live there. Very
She's
long.
like, well, then go back to Alaska.
Yeah. I thought that was hilarious.
That was funny.
So then they go to the dance. And now this is when Alaska's room gets flooded.
Yes.
Way later. And no one is talking to her at this point in time. So she can't go to everyone and be like, guys, what the fuck?
But this is kind of what gets them sort of talking again.
Kind of a little bit.
I got her and Miles kind of better, but the Colonel's still kind of pissed.
Mm-hmm. And then this is also what causes them to do the very big prank that happens later in the book.
Uh-huh.
And so basically this whole prank happens that doesn't happen yet in the book until way forever ago or way forever later.
Actually, it's coming up pretty quick here.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking maybe you get there and then I'll talk about it.
Oh yeah, it's like right now.
It's like 2 things away. Yeah. It happens during the winter dance.
Oh yeah.
Whereas
This is after Christmas.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Alaska wanted to do a pre-prank to throw off the eagle because, you know, they'll always have a prank. So he's going to be on the lookout for it. But if they do a pre-prank, then their main prank will be solid. So the Colonel and Alaska didn't let Miles in on what was going on. So that kind of pissed him off. They all set up their alibis for the prank, and the pranks happens, and the plan was Miles and Takumi run off, set off fireworks, they distract the eagle. While he's being distracted and chasing them, Alaska goes and does something for the Weekday Warriors hair product. So she like makes them blue or whatever she did. And then Laura keeps watch over the eagle's house. Then the Colonel is changing 6 of the Weekday Warriors grades to failing, so their parents are going to get a progress report. And then all goes fine, except Miles gets bit by the swan, and then they get back to their meeting point, and the Colonel's pissed because Alaska changed 23 people's report cards. And he's like, that's 23 less people that could be blamed for this. And they all eventually calm each other down, and they start drinking.
So in the show, the pre-planning stuff is, first off, my next note is Pudge and Laura don't take part in the prank. Like, they are very much, Laura doesn't like pranks. She's also not a part of this group because she is upset that Miles hasn't been ignoring her.
Right.
And Miles is like, screw you, Alaska. Oh yeah, no, I think you said it opposite for the show. This is what gets the Colonel to kind of talk to him, whereas Miles is like, fuck this. I'm not talking to you. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm done. I'm fully going to focus on Laura. So then to get into, they go and distract the eagle to get his key, or they get a key for the computer lab or something. The prank is so weird and so wrong and not what happens in the book. It makes me so upset. It just makes no sense. No sense. So then as they're working on the prank and like the pre-planning for the prank, Miles is also now really trying hard to impress Laura. And he's like, I'm going to make this work with this girl. The other thing that made me sad was in the book, one of the things that happens is like the eagle calls the Colonel's mom to make sure that their alibis are legit. Mm-hmm. And he's like, don't worry. I got my mom. I just told her, hey, he's going to call and just say that we're going to be home for the weekend. And she was like, okay. Which also, why didn't she ask questions? But anyway.
Right.
In the show, he didn't. He was just like, I hope she goes along with it.
Right.
And then she did, which show mom would not have gone along with it.
Nope.
So I don't know how.
I don't know. Yeah.
But anyways, I was very upset because the dance was their cover up, not the fireworks. I was really excited. The fireworks do happen later, but for a completely different reason, not for this. I was upset. And they also, in the pre-prep, Alaska has to go and figure out what the logins for the kids' laptops are, because instead of what their prank is in the book, they're going to go log into these kids' laptops and fill out college applications for them, which is stupid. Like, these are also probably colleges that they didn't want to go to.
I know, right?
Like, what? And so this is happening during the dance now. And the whole time they get Miles to finally be like the watch for if the Eagle or any of the Weekday Warriors are leaving the thing. And, oh yeah, that's what it is. So they get him involved, but Laura's upset because she's not into pranks. She's like, this is stupid. The whole debutante ball thing was dumb. I couldn't believe we did that. That was stupid. And he's like, look, I'm just helping them. I'm not doing anything. Come with me. And she then is like, okay.
Right.
And goes and helps. And so then they see some of the Weekday Warriors going. And really what's happening is these guys it's the Colonel's ex and her new boyfriend going to hook up. So then when the Colonel finds this out, he's mad, especially when he finds out that she's taking him to their hookup spot. So then he runs to go get her. And this is when Miles and Takumi are like, oh, we got to go get the fireworks. And so then that's what makes him get the fireworks, to distract the Eagle.
Yep.
Also in the show, it's full on fireworks when it's just supposed to be firecrackers. It was just supposed to be loud. Not, I mean, I'm all for fireworks, but I was like, that's kind of weird.
Okay. So they all play best day, worst day in this like barn thing that is their hideout spot. Alaska said her best day was January 8th, which was a day her mom and her went to the zoo. And her worst day was the day after because her mom died and had a seizure. And Alaska didn't call 911 and her dad blames her for her death. And they all, eventually stop drinking and they fall asleep. And Miles and Laura start making out. And he asks, hey, you want to be my girlfriend?
The weirdest thing to me was they changed everyone's like best and worst day in the show from the book.
I did not have a good enough memory to...
Yeah. No, I knew because Laura's best and worst day were her when she immigrated. Mm-hmm. But she already told that story to Miles, so they didn't make her retell it.
Oh.
So it's this completely different, very stupid, not like deep personal story. And then the other thing that they changed is the date for Alaska's mom's death. And that's because all of this is happening before Christmas. And so it's like December 10th or something. And then after this, after Alaska says her worst day, she then leaves the barn. And I felt so fucking bad for Laura again. Because then Miles is like, I should go talk to her. I was like, God damn.
Leave the girl alone.
How many times are you going to do this? So then they have this whole like deep talk. But then he comes back to Laura and they do end up making out. And now Miles and Laura are inseparable. Whereas in the book, I felt like they were very much not together often.
Yes. Yep. Okay. So they got home and they said hi to the Eagle and he didn't suspect a thing. The next few days go on and Laura gives Miles a BJ and their relationship's going fine. That was a fun scene.
That was a fun scene in the movie show and book. But so, wait, are you already?
No, you can.
No, you go. Okay, finish it.
They don't have anything to talk about, so it's kind of awkward. And the Colonel, Alaska, and Miles are hanging out, and then Alaska starts making out with Miles, and she stops and she says, To be continued. And Miles falls asleep. But then Alaska comes in sobbing, saying, I can't believe I forgot. And then she asks for a distraction and she needs to get off campus. So they set off some fireworks and she drove off.
So in the show, there are now criminal charges being pressed against the colonel because it's very obvious that they are the ones who, or that he is the one. The Eagle saw him running before the fireworks got lit off. So he's like, you're the one taking the fall. And so the Weekday Warriors parents are coming after you and pressing charges. And there's this whole storyline with this criminal charge. And I was like, this is so stupid. Because one of the things, my very next note is, in the book, they purposely do pranks. Like, it is written in the book that they purposely do pranks that do not get them in trouble. Mm-hmm. They know the line. They know where it gets crossed, and they don't cross it.
Right.
In the show, that is not the case.
Nope.
And then the Eagle tries to get the colonel to rat out his friends and say who all helped him in it. But the colonel's like, I ain't no rat. So then he's like, all right, then you're getting expelled. Like, that's the only way this is going to be good for them. That's how you get out of these criminal charges. Oh, and then in the book, when Laura is giving Miles a BJ, she doesn't know what to do. In the show, that's the same thing. But in the book, they just go straight to Alaska. In the show, they first watch porn and then they're like, oh, this is awkward. And then they ask Alaska. I was like, why did that extra bit get put in there?
Right.
Why?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and then there's a whole scene where we see when Alaska and the colonel first met. My next two notes are whole story with colonel getting expelled. What? And then no one is acting how they're written.
Guess you answered that.
Yes, I do. Oh, another big thing. So before Alaska and Miles make out, the whole reason they make out is because they play Truth or Dare. And they're playing Truth or Dare with the colonel. Well, in the show, the colonel freaking falls asleep and then they start making out. Mm-hmm. And also their Truth or Dare goes for way too many turns. Literally in the book, it's Truth or Dare, Miles, or Pudge. And he's like, Dare. In the show, too, they kept answering truths before they got to a dare. Mm-hmm. Oh, also, the very next note. Oh, yeah. Truth or Dare makes Miles and Alaska realize they want to be together. It's not a random makeout, ... Did you think that they had sex in the show?
Yes.
It's same. My next note is Alaska and Pudge have sex. What the fuck? And then when she's driving off, Miles doesn't set off the fireworks. It's just the colonel, and Miles goes and helps her with the gate.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, another thing is in the book, she grabbed... Jake had sent her white tulips for their anniversary that had just happened. And she grabbed those with her when she was running out to the car. And that was not the case in the show. Mm-mm.
So the next day, the Eagle wakes him up pretty early and he told everyone to get to the gym. Colonel's like, yeah, last time he did this, Hyde's wife died. So Hyde probably died now. What?
Hyde's wife died.
Oh, that's a difference.
It just clicked.
Yep. Yep.
Whoops.
They realize that Alaska's not there, but Hyde is. And Eagle's like, is everyone here? And Miles is like, no, Alaska's not here. Because it's slowly dawning on him what is about to happen. And the Eagle proceeds to tell them that Alaska was in a horrible accident last night and she died. She goes straight into a cop car.
Mm-hmm. That does happen. I'm going to say my notes because I realize I still have like
a bunch.
Yeah. And I'm like, what do I do? But the thing is, in the show, they immediately show you the accident. So the accident is something that you only get bits and pieces of throughout the book until they go to the cops. Mm-hmm. And so you get a scene where you actually see the accident. And so it's supposed to be like the reason she drives straight into a cop car is because there's a jackknifed truck in the book In the show, it's just a broke down truck. And so I'm like, okay, if a truck is broken down, then she could have even more gotten around it.
Right.
So that even more makes it seem like she did it on purpose. Like the jackknifed thing makes it like, okay, no matter where she was going, she was hitting something.
Right.
So what? And then during this scene in the show, the eagle is the one who tells Miles all of the details.
Yeah.
Like Miles comes up to him and is like, what happened? And the eagle tells him,
like, I saw her. This is what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what the fuck principal would say that to a kid after a student had just died?
Like his friend, too.
Yes. Like, what?
Let me traumatize you.
Yeah, we got this. So then the colonel, after this happens, is very upset. And so he goes to the eagle to kick him out because that's the only thing he thinks will make him feel better. Oh, yeah. But then the eagle is just like, no, kid, they dropped the charges. Like, you're fine. You're not going anywhere. In the book, too, they're carrying this weight of letting Alaska leave with them for a long time, to the point where they don't talk to Takumi because they don't know how to tell him, because they know that he's going to ask questions that they don't want to answer. Mm-hmm. In the show, they don't care. They literally just tell him right off the bat. Yeah. They're like, hey, Takumi, this is what happened. And then in the book, right when Miles finds out about her death, he immediately calls his parents and is like, I just needed to hear your voice. Uh-huh. In the show, he doesn't call his parents. His parents call him. They're like, hey, we heard the news. Was it someone you knew?
Yeah.
I was like, cool.
So everyone's trying to deal with this. Eventually, the colonel and Miles have this moment where they're so frustrated because they could have stopped her. And Laura comes in to comfort Miles, but he feels really awkward. She's like, the last thing I did was make out with Alaska. So clearly we are not together anymore. And Miles slept for 14 hours. And during that time, he has a nightmare. The Alaska's there flirting with him, and then her dead body falls on him. And the funeral's in a couple days, but he hasn't seen the colonel in a while. And eventually the colonel comes home, and apparently he's been walking for the last 2 days, and he walked a total of 82 miles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That happens.
Good job, show.
It's the one thing you did right.
So they were all chartered down to the funeral, and it was a closed casket because Alaska's dad said her mom's casket was open, and she said, Daddy never let them see me dead. And Miles told her he loves her to her casket.
Okay, I'm going to tell a bit of the book that happens later because it happens in the show right now. Uh-huh. At some point, some random chick who's a weekday warrior comes up to Miles and the colonel and is like, Alaska, talk to me. I was at a diner and the lights flickered and she was saying hello. And then she like leaves. And they're like, what the hell? She wouldn't come talking to you. This gets told in a class. Like Dr. Hyde is talking to them about their feelings because it's gotta be sad. It's gotta hurt that Alaska's not here. And she's like, yeah, because this happened. What?
I'd be so mad. This actually kind of happened to me when Cameron died.
Really? What? Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Miles didn't have clothes for the funeral, so he has to go and ask the eagle for clothes in the show. Yeah. I'm like, buddy, you knew you were coming to a boarding school. You probably packed all your clothes. Right. And then the thing that made me even more upset, in the show, they had forgotten that the phone had rang and that Alaska had gone to get the phone call. Whereas in the book, they knew.
Right.
In the book, that was their big thing was we need to figure out who she had talked to.
Right.
Whereas in the show, it was, I don't know why she left. What did she do? Why did she leave? Mm-hmm. And I mean, that was always the question. But they had a lead. Whereas in the show, they did not. It was just depressing. But then at the funeral, Miles realizes, he's like, because Jake comes to the funeral, which was another big difference because Jake did not come to the funeral.
They were confused about that.
Uh-huh. And Jake then tells the Colonel and Miles all about his phone call with Alaska. And Miles in the book vehemently does not want to know about their phone call because he's like, I was making out with her and then she got on the phone with you and was crying and wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's anything good for me.
Right.
And so he didn't want that conversation, but it just happens with him. And Miles keeps like, what happened? What did she say? What did she say to you?
Mm-hmm.
What did that lead to her? And all this. Ugh. And then in the show, the eagle has a breakdown moment at the funeral. And everyone then gets to go up and leave a fingerprint on Alaska's coffin. And then the Colonel goes and basically yells at Alaska's dad and is pissed and is like, you thought she killed her mom. She didn't. You're why she's gone.
Yeah. It was big.
Yeah, it was huge. And his mom got involved and was like, you're not yelling at him. His baby just died.
Yeah.
Like, stop.
Good job, Mama.
Mm-hmm.
But man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and in the show too, part of their phone call, Jake's and Alaska's phone call, was that Alaska had forgot their anniversary, which was not the case in the book at all.
Nope. Well, she didn't forget it. They were broken up.
Yeah.
So he's just calling saying, I love you. It's our anniversary.
Yeah.
I'll always call you.
Exactly. Stupid. What kind of an ex-boyfriend does that?
Right. Like one that doesn't want to be an ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's true. I've never had those. I want to know what that's like. The next thing that happens is the freaking eagle shaves off his mustache because the girl teacher likes that. Okay. I will let you go now.
Okay. So they were told to clean out Alaska's room because her aunt is coming the next day to collect all her things. So Eagle's like, if there's anything in there that her aunt shouldn't see, go get it. So Miles was looking for this one book in particular, and Colonel found it. And in it, Alaska had written how to get out of the labyrinth was going straight and fast. And they're like, oh my gosh, she killed herself because that's how the car crashed. It was going straight and fast. And they couldn't make sense of it, though. So they're like, no, it's probably not true.
That does happen at some point in the show.
Okay. They were back in Mr. Hyde's class, and everybody's just grieving, and it's pissing Miles and the Colonel off because they're like, you're not even friends with her.
Mm-hmm. That happened just before the funeral.
The Colonel told Miles they need to figure out what happens, but Miles didn't want to figure it out. The Colonel told him to suck it up and stop being selfish. We need to figure it out. And they need to talk to Jake and other eyewitnesses. So they went and spoke to the police officer on the case, and he shared the whole story and that she didn't swerve at all. So it really sounded like suicide.
Freaking in the show, the Colonel asks for the police report, and they they give it to him.
Because he claimed he was her brother.
Mm-hmm.
And they believe it.
Yeah.
Even though, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they decided to go home and research suicide, and she was not meeting a lot of the criteria. She would meet like one bullet point, but then other ones would be like, oh, well, she doesn't do this and this and this. And so they were kind of trying to debunk the suicide thought. And this is when a girl came over and said felt like Alaska was talking to her because at the diner house, the lights were flickering.
It just means electricity's bad, kid.
Right. The Colonel said, we got to go talk to Jake. And Miles really didn't want to. And they got in a fight where the Colonel told him to stop being selfish. And they put a pause on calling Jake again.
So now in the show, they are cleaning out Alaska's room. And Miles doesn't want to help. Miles is like, no, I can't. And the Colonel basically makes him. Whereas in the book, it wasn't a problem. It was like he wanted to go in there. He wanted to find the book. And like,
no, the Colonel made him. He tricked him into going in.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Not like it did in the show, though. Because he literally like.
Remember how he did in the show.
Miles did not move from their room for a hot minute.
He didn't in the book either. And then the Colonel basically, he like left the door open or something like that. Miles got up to shut the door and the Colonel drug him out. And he's like, I knew you wanted to come with me, and brought him into Alaska's room. That's how it was in the book.
Yeah. It was different in the show. I can't remember how.
Yeah.
But it was
I don't
different.
remember either.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure like he got to her door and then stood outside her door.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what happened. He was there. Then the phone rang. He went to go answer the phone, made the colonel think he was cleaning out the room by himself, but really it was his parents to be like, oh, I heard about the death.
Okay.
Oh, in the show when the colonel and Miles get in their little fight, their little tiff, they actually don't talk for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then they start talking again when they decide to go get the police reports. And they don't have to call Jake because Jake's already told them everything at the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, except for a phone call with Jake does happen because he calls. Oh, wait, no, that's the. Wait, yeah. Miles calls him and they talk about being like forlorn lovers of Alaska.
Oh.
And I thought that was so fucking stupid.
That's odd.
Yeah, I was like, why is this scene in here? This is dumb. Okay.
So Miles and the colonel snuck this breathalyzer out of the Eagle's place because they wanted to get as drunk as Alaska did. Or Miles has said he's never drinking again because he was drunk is why he kind of let Alaska slip through his fingers. So the colonel's like, I'll do it. And Takumi wanted to join in like on whatever they were doing, but they're like, no, you can't. We don't want to tell you because you'll get expelled for this. And Takumi's getting pissed off. The colonel starts drinking and he needs to drink to get to 0.24, which is what Alaska was at. The Eagle comes in the middle of it and they do smoke to cover it up and everything. And they get in trouble for that. But, you know, Colonel Fig cried and they got away with it. And then eventually he got up to 0.24 and he completely failed the drunk test, but he was not drunk enough to drive straight into a cop car, he said.
So in the show, Takumi is involved in all of this because Takumi is aware of everything. Mm-hmm. But that's pretty much the only difference.
Yep. So the colonel told Takumi everything now. Now it's the next day. And they agreed that they need to call Jake. And
one thing I'll make note of here is the police report made mention that Alaska had plastic daisies in her car. So it's not white tulips that are actual flowers. It's plastic daisies that were from her room. Like Miles realizes, he's like, oh, wait.
So the colonel said that. Then okay. The colonel is on the phone with Jake and Takumi and Miles are in the dorm and they got into this fight and they heard a knock and they thought it was the Eagle. So they jumped in the shower to hide because they were smoking. So they wanted to hide the smoke smell. And they get out and it turns out it was just the colonel messing with them. And he found out that Jake wished her a happy anniversary and then began freaking out.
So in the show, the phone call with Miles and Jake happens because the colonel's like, he's got to have more information. You need to go call him. And then makes Miles go and call him, which Colonel in the book would not have made Miles call him because he knew that there was stuff going on with Miles in Alaska right before she died.
Yep.
Oh, and now we see the kids leave for Christmas break.
Oh, okay. Well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess I'll then say this because now we get scenes with him at home.
Uh-huh.
And like Miles is working on his paper and then he throws a temper tantrum to his mom. And basically all of his tantrum is inner monologue that we otherwise wouldn't have gotten from the book in the show. But then it was stupid because it made his relationship with his mom look worse than it was. And then during Christmas, guess who goes to the colonel's house? Al, you want to guess?
Dr. Hyde.
Yeah. And now the colonel is having problems with his faith because he's like, why would God kill Alaska? She was so young. And then Pudge calls the colonel to tell him, guess what, bud? I'm not coming back from Christmas break. I don't think I can be there when Alaska's not there. Which is so stupid. And then the colonel's like, you can't do that to me.
Right.
Like, what? And he's like, sorry, that's what I'm doing. But then guess what? He comes back. Wow. And then Takuma and Laura have started dating.
Really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, they start dating and they're like, I think it's weird because they like cuddle in front of Miles and all this. And I'm like,
super weird.
What?
Oh my gosh. No, I blocked that part.
I would have too. But I made a note.
So they ran into Laura and it was super awkward. And he could only think of one thing, and it was what happened to Alaska. So him and Laura eventually kind of made up though, and she agreed that, hey, I want to know what happened to her too, so I'm going to help you guys. So Miles on the phone with his parents, and he sits down and he sees a flower drawing that Alaska did on the payphone. And it clicked that Alaska told Jake she was doodling, and that's when she freaked out. So she ran and told the Colonel, and Colonel's like, okay, like, what does that help us with? He's like, because it's new information. But yeah, what does that help them with? Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. But that does happen in the show.
The Eagle said that they were going to make a playground in Alaska's honor, and the Colonel and everybody's like, what the why does she need a playground? And like, why do you have a playground at a high school?
I know.
This is odd to me.
I will say my college, the dorms that me and Sierra ended up living in our last 2 years there, we lived in the family, like they originally were family dorms, but then not enough families were on campus.
Yeah.
So they opened it up to everyone, and we had a playground. We had 2 playgrounds in our dorms, but that's a college. And
right.
that was to entice families to come to college.
Alaska, or the Colonel said that we should do a prank for her, not a playground. So Alaska even had a prank she was saving for senior year. So it was already made up. And they're like, yes, let's do it.
The fucking person who plans the prank is Laura, because the school has now given Alaska a bench memorial, and her friends are upset 'cause they're like, this is stupid, but they end up taking it to their little smoking spot. And Laura can tell that everyone's sad about this. And she's like, the thing that would make her proud is if you all did a prank.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the one that's like, didn't she have that one saved up? And then Takumi is the one who then tells her all about it, or tells Miles all about it.
Yep.
And then my next note, hold on. My next note is a good one. It's this prank's supposed to not be one that can get anyone in trouble. Yet when Takumi is telling Miles about it, he says it's one that's going to get them all in trouble. Okay.
So they're planning this prank, and Miles has to get his dad involved, and they need to find a stripper. And so Miles calls his dad and asks if he wants to be involved in the school's next prank, because his dad was involved in the best prank that the school has ever had. And so his dad jumped on it. He's like, oh yeah, definitely. So his dad is on the phone and pretends to be the speaker of their junior class to get that, because the junior class needs to get the speaker for speaker day. And he has to pretend he's an adolescent psychologist in sexuality. The Eagle calls him and is like, tell me about kind of what you're going to do. And he chats, and there's like, okay, this sounds all right. Yeah, we can do it.
That happens, except for when Miles goes to the Eagle to convince him of this. It's Miles and Kevin who goes, which Kevin is like one of the leaders of the Weekday Warriors. And in the show, it's Miles and Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
So Sarah's involved.
So,
and they don't get a freaking stripper. They get the freaking convenience store worker.
I loved it.
I thought that was so dumb. It was funny, but dumb.
It was like this whole, because the convenience store worker knew Alaska.
Yeah.
So it was this whole like, oh yeah, I liked her, I'll be involved with her.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but
yeah, I mean, it was not a stripper.
How? Yeah. I'm like, what guy would be involved in a prank and be like, oh yeah, I can be your stripper.
Right. I can get, that's what one of my videos was like, how did they get this nerdy guy, like this awkward guy, to agree to strip in front of the whole school?
Yes, exactly.
So the stripper shows up late, and it's stressing the Colonel out, but he eventually gets there on, like, he's not super late. But he gets there eventually, and he ends up being perfect. He reads everything right and everything. And in his speech, it talks about how women don't really objectify men. And this is when Laura stands up and is like, take your shirt off. You're so hot. And that's Takumi's cue to start the music. And then he begins to strip. And after the whole thing finished, everyone was complimenting Miles and the Colonel. And they're like, nope, it was all Alaska. And the Eagle even comes up to them and says, don't do that again. But man, it's like she wrote the script herself and left smiling.
My next two notes are, at least he strips, because it's Gus, the convenience store worker. And then at the end of his speech, he yells, this is for Alaska Young, and then starts stripping. And I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's just supposed to be, it's a prank. You're not supposed to make it obvious. Like, you know.
Actually, I think he says it in the book.
Does he? I didn't think he did. Because they don't say anything about Alaska.
I think he does.
No, it doesn't. That's something for our recap.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Oh, and then the other thing that was weird was everyone else started stripping. Like Miles got up and shouted, this is for Alaska, and took off his clothes.
That
and then the Colonel stood up and started shouting, this is for Alaska, and everyone else did.
Yeah, no, that did not.
Oh, the other thing too, throughout this show, Alaska kept like talking to Miles about where they would be in 5 years. And she kept telling him that he was going to be a writer. And now he's really like taking that to heart and he's going to go and be a writer. Whereas this was not a thing in the book at all.
Nope. So they eventually solved the mystery and they realized that, oh my gosh, the day she got in her accident was the day her mom died. And she was feeling horrible because she forgot and she was on the way to the grave. And the Colonel and Miles wanted to go drive the crash scene to see as if they were Alaska. And Takumi left a note saying, hey, I kept this a secret because I was pissed, but I'm sorry. But I ran into Alaska that day. She was freaking out about her mom. She was trying to find flowers. And I could have stopped her, but I didn't. I just feel really guilty about it. And Miles went and finished his religion paper and packed up and went home.
And that does happen.
Mm-hmm. All right. We did it.
Yeah.
IMDb cast, I almost said 57. 75 people. Man, my dyslexia is hard today. All right. So we got Charlie Plummer as Miles.
Yeah, I thought he did good.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah, I thought he was fine.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm flipping coins over here.
Flip those coins.
Did not like him in the slightest at all. Ever. At all.
Yeah.
But I forgot to recast him. So
it's going to take him.
I'm going to cast Tom Holland.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. That would be good. Yeah.
Charlie Plummer was just like, I expected Miles to, where he was socially awkward. I feel like Charlie played him way socially awkward.
Yeah, that's true.
I felt like he was still like a likable, fun, normal guy. Mm-hmm. But he just was not.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Okay.
And that's why I recast.
All right.
Okay. Then we got Christine Froseth. You're going to laugh at me.
Wow, we went from 230 to 380.
Yeah.
Jeez,
look at it. I just need a picture. Come on, you guys. Look at how far away we are. I'm just going to take a picture right there. And look, now you can see the words nice and big. Okay. Okay. She played Alaska.
I hated her.
Okay.
And I had 6 people written down because I was like, I couldn't figure out who the hell I would choose. Uh-huh. But I think I would have cast Lily Rose.
I was going to say, let me decide for you.
Second I read that, I was like, holy fuck.
What else has she been in?
She was in Walrus with Johnny. I haven't watched it, but yeah, I know. Yeah, she's actually been in quite a bit.
I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything. Who else was on your list?
Okay, so I had Kate she's from One Tree Hill. Kate Voigel, but she would have been too old. Oh. And so I was like, I want someone who looks kind of like, I wanted that edginess. Then I went with Jenny Ortega, who plays Wednesday.
Okay, yeah.
Because I was like, she's got the edge that I want, but she still wasn't 100% perfect.
Yeah.
I also put Mackenzie Foy because I think she would have been the right age and she would have had the look I was going for, but I think she's a little too innocent and sweet.
Okay.
I also then put Haley Steinfeld, and then what's funny is Lily James and Kiernan Shipka.
Okay. I don't know why I asked. Like, I thought I would know anyone you just said.
Which is funny because you actually probably know.
I probably do. No names.
Mackenzie Foy is Renesmee.
Oh. Okay.
And Haley Steinfeld's in Pitch Perfect. And she's also the girl Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah. She could do it, probably.
Mm-hmm. But I also feel like she's too spunky and like fun.
Mm-hmm. I like Black Widow's cousin.
Oh, she's great, but she's too old.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh.
Yes. Okay. So Lily Depp.
Yep, Lily Rose Depp.
Okay. Danny Love played Chip, or the Colonel.
I almost recast him after like the first 2 episodes, but then after that I was like, oh, actually you're perfect. I love you.
I liked him.
Yeah.
Jay Lee played Takumi.
I did not like him.
Oh.
I cast Ki Hong Lee. I didn't like this kid because I felt like Takumi to me was supposed to be like the computer nerd who knew how to do everything. Whereas in the show, he talked kind of slow and always like, oh, dude, she's upset. And I was like, no, Takumi, like I picture this fun guy who's kind of like, it's odd that he's part of this group, but they love him because he's their friend. Whereas this dude just kind of felt like a stoner to me.
I guess that's what happens when you watch it first. I didn't see that difference.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sofia Vassilieva played Laura.
Oh, she was cute.
She's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I liked her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Landry Bender played Sarah.
I liked her. She was in the show way more than I thought she was going to be, but I liked her.
Mm-hmm. 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 Uriah Shelton played Longwell Chase.
I just love that his name's Uriah. That's my favorite Divergent character. Yeah, he was good.
Yeah, I liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Timothy Simmons played the Eagle.
Hold on. Is this in relation to J.K. Simmons?
I don't know.
Because I recast J.K. Simmons for the Eagle.
What? No, they have different spellings of their last names.
Oh, okay. That's hilarious.
They look kind of the same, though.
I know. Once you said that, I was like, hold on. That's hilarious.
You recast him?
Yeah, I did. I just felt like he was too... I pictured like a hard ass who was not fun. Whereas this guy was always trying to be fun while also being a hard ass.
Oh, J.K. Simmons. Okay, I know who that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I could see him doing a really good job at it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked him. I thought he did good. Ron Cephas?
Mm-hmm.
Ron Cephas Jones played Dr. Hyde.
I pictured Slughorn. Because I pictured like a chubby guy who couldn't walk because he was having a hard time breathing because he only had one lung and all this. And so
I liked him. He's from This Is Us. So
yep.
Is the book and the movie the same?
The theme?
The theme. Yeah.
Because the book and the movie are not the same. We've covered that.
Yeah.
The theme, yeah.
I think so.
Pretty
Dealing
much,
with death of a friend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do the characters stay true?
No, not in the slightest.
Mm-mm.
Unfortunately. I was so bummed watching this.
I know. Which do you prefer?
The book. 100,000% the book. I can't even... I wish they didn't make the TV show.
I just don't understand why they made it a TV show. Like, why not just make it a movie?
It's a short enough book.
Right.
Like, they could have got it all in a movie.
That's why I was telling Bri, I was like, Bri, this is an 8-hour show and it's a 7-hour book. I was like, something's not adding up here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I also prefer the book.
Yeah, because
Just none of the characters were likable in the show.
the show added shit that it didn't need to add. It changed storylines. It changed big parts of the whole show. It was just weird.
Like, I really liked Miles in the book.
Mm-hmm. Miles is great in the book.
I didn't like him at all in the show.
I could see how. Like, to me, because I read it. I went into it reading it. And so he was, to me, a lot of what makes Miles likable is all the inside stuff. And so I was like, okay, so we just aren't seeing the inside stuff. And he's hitting all the, like, he's saying the stuff that Miles would say. So that's okay. But I didn't like, they played into him and Alaska having a relationship a little bit too much for me in the show. Because, like, in the book, it's just this crush. It's not this actual, like, oh, look, this could actually be a thing. And there's just so much that's wrong with the show.
Yeah. Actually, now that I say that. Yeah, because I was texting Bri before I had started the book. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't like any of these characters. It's so hard for me to get invested when I don't like one character. I was like, in the show, I liked Chip's mom. That was all I liked. The eagle was okay, but
hilarious is when you texted me that, I didn't want to tell you and be like, I don't even remember his mom from the book, because this was before I had reread the book.
Yeah. I was like, oh man. And then after reading the book, I'm like, I think I like every character.
Yeah, they're all likable.
Yeah.
That's why I was really confused. I was like, what? You don't like, I mean, I guess because they're the party or group.
No,
like,
but they're not unlikable.
No.
They're
not well written in the show.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So would you recommend it to a friend?
I would recommend the book to a friend.
I also would recommend the book to a friend.
I wanted to stop watching after the first episode. I was so mad. This literally, how do you take my favorite John Green book and massacre it? Like, every other one of his adaptations has done a decent job.
I know. It was like
the most disappointed I've been.
It was sad. I don't get it.
I don't understand.
I wonder how it would have been if the other writers were.
I almost wish I didn't know that.
I know.
Because that makes it worse.
Man. Oh, well. Okay, you guys. Well, we got a sneak peek for you.
Yes, we do.
But first, go check us out on our website, offscript253.wixsite.com/offscript.
Yes, what a lovely website we've got.
Yes.
But while you're there, you can give us a rating, you can subscribe to us, and you can also leave us a lovely review that we will then read on the podcast at some point.
We will. But didn't we talk about we only know reviews on Spotify and Apple?
Not Spotify. Apple.
Not Spotify, just Apple.
Or if you go onto Facebook and review us there.
Yeah. We
can read your review there.
So if you've reviewed us on your personal podcast app and we haven't seen it,
screenshot it and email it to us.
There you go.
At offscript253@gmail.com. .com. I sleepy, guys.
Yes. So on Wednesday, we got a mini-sode for you.
Wonder what it'll be.
Dunno. And then Monday is Foxcatcher.
I'm so excited. We got a movie with Steve Carell, Channing Tatum, and Mark Ruffalo. How can you go wrong?
I know. I'm excited. I didn't realize they were all in it.
It's fantastic. It's literally like I explained to you in our recap episode. It's one of Steve Carell's like first serious roles, so that's why I was really excited to see it. I think he either won an Oscar for it or was nominated for it, and that's really why I wanted to watch this movie.
Oh.
And by far, it's probably like, I love myself. Look, I'm wearing a Michael Scott shirt right now. I love myself, Michael Scott, but I think Foxcatcher is my favorite Steve Carell.
Wow.
Yeah, role.
Okay, I'm excited for it.
I get to start reading it soon, and I cannot wait.
Awesome. Okay.
All right. And with that, looking for Alaska
Went off script. Bye. Thanks for sticking with us.
We hope you enjoyed it.
If you did, we would greatly appreciate it if you gave us 5 beautiful stars, reviewed, and subscribed.
You can also follow us on Facebook at Offscript, on Instagram at Offscript Podcast 21, and on TikTok at Offscript_pod.
Shoutouts to Madame Ashen Creations for our adorable logo art.
And Adam Daniel for our incredible theme song.
And to Creative Cinephile Productions for producing our podcast.
See you next time.